Now, wait. Let's pop on live, right, please. Welcome, everyone. You're tuned in to yet another episode of the Killa Konvos podcast. Shout out to you. Thank y'all for tuning in. Follow me at the Killa Konvos podcast on Instagram. Alrighty, at the Killa Konvos podcast on YouTube, and listen to me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. This is another one. Anchor, and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, I'm there. All right, and yeah, follow me on Instagram. Hello, Alexa.
Hello.
As you can see, I have yet another guest, Miss Alexa, social worker, teen therapist at Hearts Empowerment.
Yes.
I'm so excited for this episode, y'all. So we were supposed to record last week, but not your girl thinking she had COVID. I was shooketh. Yeah. So I said, I'm not about to come to the studio today because I need to wait for these results. I can't taste or smell nothing. I don't know if it's this cold, because I did have like a cold. I don't know what the fuck it was. So me, not wanting to meet this new person and potentially get results the next day. And it's like, oh, bitch, you got COVID. I'd feel terrible. So in the spirit of social responsibility, here we are now.
Yes. Thank you.
She's like, thank you for not giving me that shit. Okay. But so introduce yourself. I'm super excited about this episode because I'm really into therapy and mental health and wellness and all that kind of stuff. So we're about to get into it for this show. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So hello, everyone. I feel so great being here today and meeting this wonderful young lady.
Thank you. Shout out to Realish Media for the connect. Okay.
Yes. So my name is Alexa Chandler. I am a teen and millennial therapist at Hearts Empowerment, and I work with majority of teens of color, young women of color, but I work with all adolescents, teens, early 20s are mostly my specialty. I love working with individuals who are motivated to change, who experience life stressors, and we're figuring it out together, right? We're learning things together using CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. A lot
big
of
words.
So I'm gonna try to keep it therapy friendly with the words, but also I work with a lot of teens who deal with anxiety, depression, and anxiety related disorders like OCD that has been actually increasing during the pandemic.
I can imagine a lot of things increasing.
Yes.
Just due to the pandemic.
Yes. And outside of that, I just enjoy having fun, hanging out with my friends, what all millennials like to do.
Right. Therapists are people too.
Yes.
They like to have a good time. So why social work? Why did you want to get into social work?
So one of the reasons is I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and a lot of my friends, and including me, battle with self-esteem. A lot of young girls battle with depression, with parental issues, and we didn't see people like us in the same field. We weren't able to go to someone and really talk to who can connect with us. So for me, I wanted to change that.
Yeah.
And that was my main focus. It's I want to change the narrative, and I want to be able to support a Black girl that looks like me.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of people are saying, schools need more therapists and social workers, counselors, and less of security and policing and all that kind of stuff, especially schools in communities like Newark. People have been talking about, using more education dollars for mental health and wellness services for kids in communities like Newark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because think about it. You wake up early in the morning and they have a, what is it called? A metal detector. They're checking your bag, make sure you don't have nothing. You just waking up, going to school, right?
Yeah.
But now...
And then teenagers and kids and stuff, middle schoolers,
Exactly.
Seeing people in badges with, weapons on them, and all this gear on when you're walking into school. What kind of image is that sending a kid when they walk into the place that they're supposed to be getting their education at?
They're already criminalizing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, now imagine you go in and you could say, oh, hey, Miss Chandler, right? Go to my desk, talk to me a little bit. You know, I had a hard time last night because, you know, students are people. And they have lives, and they have parents, and sometimes their lives aren't always as perfect as everyone thinks or easy as everyone thinks.
Yeah. And we talk about, like, especially millennials, we talk a lot about mental health and how, like, life is hard and we need to show ourselves grace and rest and all these things. And, like, we're dealing with a lot, but kids are dealing with a lot also. And, like, it's worse for them because they're younger. They're not as developed. Their brains don't understand as much as we understand now as adults. And so when kids go through certain things, it's like they need help processing and support, and, like, they need the support. And so when a kid has something going on at home, or, like, they haven't eaten, they can't sleep, or they're, like, afraid, and things are happening with their parents or in their neighborhood, then they come to school and you expect them to just ignore it and be perfect and do whatever you want them to do in the classroom. It's not helpful. And just, you know, sending them to the principal's office
exactly
doesn't work. Disciplining them, detention, all that stuff, it just doesn't work. So
exactly. No, you're right. And then imagine all of that, and then you go to school, and it's like, okay, here's security, right?
Right. Then they tell you what to do, and then they're hard on you and all that kind of stuff. It's frustrating. It's annoying. So what has your experience been as, like, how long have you been doing this?
So for about 2 years.
Okay.
But I've been working with teens since undergraduate, so about, like, 6 years.
Okay. How has your experience been as a teen therapist?
Oh, I love teens. They could be a little rough, right, with the attitude.
Can they? My brother he just turned 17, and I'm like, ooh-wee.
Yes, they can. However, I love them because they're so vulnerable. They're willing to change. They're fun. They're learning about themselves through, like, the connections that they are making. This is a time when they're developing their personality. And you know how you said, oh, their brain isn't fully developed? Yeah, because your brain does not fully develop until around 25, 26.
Wow.
Which a lot of people mistake that. So not your brain, your prefrontal cortex, which is a part of your brain. So your brain does not fully develop until around 25, 26. So you're learning about yourself. There. You know, it's okay.
I'm just figuring myself out. I can tell. Okay, I can tell.
Yes. You ever heard people be like, oh, I turned 25. I feel a little different.
Things have been very different. They've been strange. They've been interesting. Waiting for all of this shit to end, honestly. This period, okay? This 25 to 26 period.
Yes.
I don't know. Something about it. But, well, it's good to know that I'm finally developed. And that explains a lot. My prefrontal cortex.
Yes, your decision making, how you process situations. And teens, they're just fun. Because they're learning so many different things. Think about, like, when you were a teenager, you probably was like, oh, I like this. Now I like this, right? You're trying to figure out who you are in the world. And I think I love my job so much because I'm a part of that. You know? And a lot of my teens come back to me. I'm a relaxed therapist, so I want you to come and I want you to be yourself. I don't want you to come and feel like, oh, Miss Chandler, I have to be. No, they come and be like, Miss Chandler, let me tell you what happened at school. and I love to hear it because I know that they're figuring it out and they're trying their best.
Isn't it like a breath of fresh air when people are, like, open and they're completely themselves with you? I think that's kind of why you like it too. Because, you know, they're not being anybody but themselves, and it's like a breath of fresh air.
It certainly is. And I mean, one thing that I want to do is the reason why I work with majority of women of color is because I want them to feel comfortable with being themselves, right? And also men of color, be comfortable because we're told so much not to be ourselves. So I'm, like, starting young. Listen,
girl,
don't code switch for me.
Yeah.
Be
this
you.
Is like probably the only place where you don't have to do that.
Exactly. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
I always emphasize this is a safe space. I want you to, if you feel uncomfortable, let me know.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're having a challenging time, let's write it down together. Right? Let's figure it out. When the world is trying to tell you who you are, no, I want you to tell me who you are. So I think that's why I love it.
I knew I was been waiting waiting for this episode for a long time. So you work with I can imagine you work with a lot of teens and a lot of different people, and have helped people navigate a lot of the challenges that they've been facing. But I'm curious to know what is the most common challenge that people have been coming to you with, and you've had to support young people with.
Okay, so as of late, because of the pandemic, it has been depression and anxiety. And it's mainly because, like I said earlier, this is a time where they're figuring themselves out. But in 2020, the world stopped, right? They weren't in school. They were doing virtual learning. They had to pick themselves up, do a routine, only so much, right? Because it's not like they can go out and drive somewhere. So they lost a sense of routine. They lost a sense of seeing their friends every day or in the hallway for those 3 minutes before you get to class or chatting with your neighbor in class, laughing. They need that.
Yeah.
Teens
we
need
need
that.
Socialization and their relationship.
And they lost it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of grief behind that. It's a lot of depression behind that. It's a lot of anxiety about, well, what's going to happen next? Who am I? Who are my friends?
Wow.
Right? A lot of people lost friendships. You know, in this pandemic, yes.
Because you haven't seen folks in a while.
Exactly.
And so,
And their parents control who they see a lot of the times and when they go out. Or if their parents are really scared of them going out because of COVID, it's like, okay, now I'm stuck in the house again. And now I'm on social media again. I love social media, but to an extent, it can be unhealthy.
So we spend way more time scrolling the internet, not being outside, living our lives. Because I was about to say, why did the pandemic cause so much depression and anxiety with the entire world? Because we had to stop moving and sit down. Did we have to actually sit with ourselves and we don't like ourselves really? So we try to stay busy and distract ourselves from what we really, really don't like. So I'm is that the reason why? But then I never thought about how it affects teens in that way, where they lost their friends, they don't get to socialize as much and all that kind of stuff.
They lost their sense of routine. And then again, like you just said about the busy culture, we live in a busy culture.
Child, tell me about it.
One of my friends was she heard a quote and it was who are you without your busyness?
Ugh.
Right? And it really makes you think. And then you see memes oh, if you didn't do anything in this pandemic, you wasted a year. You wasted 9 months.
Yeah, they were saying that. They were saying that. It's I say that the thing that brings me most joy is when I put in my vacation time and when I'm about to get a vacation where I don't have to go to work. But then when I'm on vacation or I'm or if it's an off day or a holiday where we don't have to work, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm literally going crazy because I'm trying to be busy doing something but I don't know what to do. Then I feel so unfulfilled, I have no purpose because it's that one day where I'm not doing anything, I feel like shit. So it's do I hate working or do I like working? Which one is it? So I feel it's the busy culture.
It is because it's we were figuring out in the pandemic, right? People were losing, lives were being lost all around us.
Yep, left
we
and
were
right.
trying to figure out who we were, what routine, what do we like to do. It's you didn't have to build a Fortune 500 company in the pandemic, or even if you didn't read a book, even if you just woke up and say, I'm grateful for today, that's important.
Yeah. I was what is that noise? Dang. Okay. So pandemic inflicted depression and anxiety.
It had definitely had an impact. I think, so don't quote me, but I know it's somewhere around there that depression actually increased 3 times since the beginning of the pandemic.
That is sad.
And suicidal thoughts actually increased. And teens are... they actually are the 3rd population to have the most suicidal thoughts.
Oh my goodness.
So teens ranging 13 to 19. Because in that age, their self-esteem is low. Not all of them, right? But it is a high percentage that their self-esteem is low. They don't know who they are, right? Body image. So all that comes into play. And then now when you
teenager,
lose that, you have no validation when you're in the house, and who knows also what their home life was like.
Yeah. And like I was saying before about how kids go through things at home and they are trying to navigate it and understand it, but they can't. And so imagine having to be in a potentially unsafe space and having to stay there all day long for what was it, like a year? 6 months to like a year we had to be
It was months.
inside. It was months and months and months. So I can only imagine just how like harmful that can be to somebody. But have you had to like deal with stigma? Have you had to deal with like people coming to therapy who had like a stigma about it, and like it kind of affected the quality of your relationship? Like, has stigma around therapy affected kind of that client counselor relationship?
So women and young and teen girls are more open, right? From my experience. I've found that men have been a little bit more closed off. And there has been a stigma. I used to do an internship at a halfway house, and a lot of them did not even want to meet with me. And I didn't know if it was because I was younger, if I was a female, or if it just because they didn't think therapy worked. They think, oh, yeah, that's just someone you can talk to. But people don't understand that there's like cognitive modalities that you have to put into work. There's interventions. There's things that you're actually allowing the client to process through a lot of the trauma that they went through. But a lot of stigma from men. A lot of stigma.
Really?
Yeah.
So last month was Men's Mental Health Month, and you were supposed to be here last month, and I was super excited because I'm like, oh my God, it's Men's Mental Health Month.
Yes,
I'm about to have an actual therapist on, and we're going to talk about men's mental health. So we're still going to talk about it. And so that's a perfect segue because I wanted to talk about, like, people say, men's mental health matters too, and happy men matter too. And like, as a collective, I want to know, how can we support like men's mental health instead of just telling men to go to therapy, don't be a womanizer, meditate, say your affirmations. Like, do you think that stigma around therapy that men tend to have affects kind of like their quality of life and like their wellness and all that kind of stuff?
Definitely, because certain things or activities are looked at as more feminine, and then other things are looked at as more masculine. For example, if you mention basketball, soccer, video game, you're gonna think man,
of boys, yeah,
or boys,
think of men
right?
and boys.
If you mention yoga, Pilates, face mask, you're going to think of women, right? So certain things are stigmatized just based off of that. So one thing that I really promote myself is that we have to change the language, right? Okay. We have to make it a safe space for anyone to feel comfortable to go, right? To say, it's okay to talk to someone. Yeah. Or have these conversations like we're having today about talking to a therapist, or like my favorite show, This Is Us. I loved how they talked about therapy just so open and freely to say, you know what, just try it. Yeah. Right? If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But just try to, just same way you talk to your boys, talk to your therapist.
Yeah. I definitely was like binge watching This Is Us for the first time over the quarantine. Like I was watching all these episodes. It's so like emotionally heavy though. This Is Us.
It is.
I'm like, I can't be doing this while we going through this pandemic and watching these episodes every day. But it was a really, really good show. Yes. I love This Is Us. And that's so very interesting. How did we get here, y'all? We need to get out of this whole gendering certain things, gendering colors. I don't know if I'm saying the right word, but gender. We tend to gender things, and it causes stigma. And so it's like, who's to blame for that? Like for men to think like, oh well, talking about my feelings is girly or it's very feminine, and being emotionally available is what I as a man am supposed to, express to the world. So was that like something that we would blame mom for? Is it society? Like, when does it start and how can we like cut it before it becomes like toxic masculinity?
Like in therapy, it's always the nature versus nurture theory, right? Okay. So nature is like your environment, your society. Nurture is like the people who raised you, your foundation, your caregivers, your parents, those people that raised you. It's kind of a mixture of both, right? Because this has been going on even before our generation, where it's like, right. Think about everything people say, oh, Alexa, that's cliche. Don't ask me about my childhood, right? But everything goes and stems back to your childhood.
Yeah.
So if you're telling a little boy, stop crying, right? You know, this has been a popular saying. A lot of people say that. If you tell a little boy, stop crying, what they're going to do? Feel like it's not okay to cry.
Yeah.
It's not okay to express himself. But we'll tell girls, oh, tell me about it. That's why we're more open to talk about our feelings. If we tell a little boy, you know, get up, you need to be a man. So in their mind, stop crying is already a definition of what a man looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you're telling them something as though you just gotta, you know, play a sport or something, get that tension
Like
out.
he needs to play a sport. He can't play no instrument or be a cheerleader or, you know, all that kind of stuff. He can't play with dolls.
And have you ever noticed that a lot of guys or fathers or parents, right, if they see their son has a lot of aggression, they'll be like, okay, take your aggression out in football, boxing. And I think that is amazing, right? But it's also, why does this kid have so much aggression? It's the why. Why aren't we asking those questions? What is going on at home? What is going on at school that they're...
Where'd he get that from?
Right.
I
that
love
they're
to ask that question.
aggressive.
Where'd he get that from?
Yes.
Or when like parents will complain about how their kids are, and you just be like, "Well, where'd they get that from? They at home with you all day, or they at school."
Exactly.
So what's going on?
Back to attachment style, right? So we just have to think about how we talk to children.
Yeah.
As young, like
Because
younger
they're
than
learning
5.
the things that you tell them, the way that you talk to them. Kids are learning and they're internalizing, and then you surprise when he grows up to be a goddamn punching holes in the walls. You know.
Exactly, because that's the way he learned to express, or he didn't learn to express his emotions, and he feels like it's not okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you ever dated a guy and they feel like, oh, it's not okay for me to cry. But it's like, no, let them tears out. Cry.
Yeah.
Right? I learned in class, I think it was my grief class, she was like, I don't even offer my clients a tissue. I just say, the tissue's right here if you need it. Because in our society, this is with anybody, we feel like it's not okay to cry. So when my clients cry, even though most of my sessions are virtual, I'm like, cry. If you need a tissue, then you can go get it. But cry. Allow yourself to feel every feeling. Yeah. How come we can feel happy, joyful, excited? But we don't want
to feel sad and... Well, we okay with feeling angry. Right. We glamorize that, but to feel like sad and depressed and like and all of like the sad feelings where it's like I don't feel good about myself. We don't like to feel like that.
Exactly. Again, changing the language, changing the narrative that it's okay to feel it. Just make sure you're doing something about it. Yeah. Right? If that sadness is lasting longer than like a week or two, do something about it. Talk to someone. Right? Figure it out. Process it.
Yeah. So how do we go about not raising emotionally unavailable fuckboys?
Ooh.
So we don't add that to
the
current population.
Oh, fuckboys. Okay.
So for everybody who got the pregnant, once that thing pop out and it's a boy, this is what you got to do.
The pregnant.
From day one.
Not
for
the
those
pregnant.
of y'all that got it, y'all, this is... Write this down. No more fuckboys.
Yes.
Now.
I really want us to go back to it takes a village to raise a child. Right? Because if you say something to somebody's kid now, don't be talking to my kid and it's like, but they did something wrong, right? And yes, some people do take it far. They take it too far. But it's like, we need to go back to that because maybe...
or like when you see kids on the street, it's like, and they acting a fool. Yes. And you call those kids out?
Yes. Because maybe I'm seeing something that the parent is seeing and say, you know, I just seen your little boy or your little girl take something from the store. You know, right? Approaching the parent.
Instead
going
of
back
talking
to
shit
that.
about them like, ooh, that's Miss Colleen's son and he be stealing and that boy's going, his only path is going straight to jail.
Exactly.
They're going to throw him under that jail.
Right. I'm just going to say we as in like society, we'll talk about them before we'll try to help them. Yeah. And I'm like, how do they know that that's wrong? Or like, have you ever heard like parents curse at their kids? Right?
I've seen it and it's nasty.
So now they make that seem like that's acceptable to curse at their kid. Instead of saying, instead of saying, shut the F up, right? Why don't we say, well, what's going on? What's making you cry? What's going on right now that you need my attention? Yeah. Right? Again, changing the narrative and going back to that community. We need more men need to pour into more black boys or boys in general, right? More women need to pour into more women.
Yeah.
Right? Because they look up to us.
Right.
Whether you're a caregiver, a teacher, a professional, they look up to you.
They're looking for some kind of role model. Even though they may not act like it, you may not think they do. Kids,
they're watching you.
Yeah, they're watching you. And they're seeking like someone to guide them and to be there for them and to hear them and listen to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I may have worked with some teens that probably gave me attitude every day, but I still showed up as my best self for them because I knew they were watching me. So we have to show up our best.
They want to see if you're like everybody else who's going to curse them out or give up on them.
Yes. And then with little black boys, they actually have even though I work with the majority of girls, they have a special place in my heart because I feel like we give up on them too fast.
Yeah.
Right? And we kind of age them. Right? A 9-year-old black boy is not the same thing as a 9-year-old white boy.
Wow. What's the difference?
We'll look at a 9-year-old a white boy and say, "Oh, he's just a child. He's just a baby."
Tommy.
Right. And then we'll look at a 9-year-old black boy and be like, "Get up. You about to be a teenager."
Yeah, you grown. You a grown man.
Yes.
I hate when people say that. Like they tell kids, "Oh, you grown," or "You're a man," or "You're grown." I'm like, if I gotta cook for this little nigga, he is not grown.
Yes.
If he's paying bills, unless he's paying bills, he is not grown.
He's
what
not
are you talking
grown.
about?
Right? I should not see 13-year-old, 14-year-old boys out on the street any time of the day doing whatever they're supposed to do. No, I shouldn't. Where's the community? Again, where's the community? Where are the after-school programs again? Where are the tech programs for these black boys? Where are the sports and stuff? I know it's like a pandemic, but they don't have access to this a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, you'll see it when they get older. So when we say fuck boys, it's like, yeah, they do wrong and they do dirty, but what's behind that? What's behind you being a fuck boy? Right? Because you didn't just start out like that. You started out cute, little baby, right?
Innocent. Who you learn this from?
Right. What was your story? What was your background?
I'm always interested in like how people become who they are because therapy opened me up to figure out why I am the way that I am based on like my childhood and like things that I've experienced and things that I learned. And so I'm always interested in like, okay, this is how this person shows up, but what happened to them to make them show up this way? What happened to them to make them think the way that they do? So I'm always interested in like who people are, where they come from, and like what they grew up. How did they grow up? Because, therapy taught me like, okay, I went to therapy because I went through a breakup and I went to this nigga's house and like I was knocking on his door and I'm like, listen, this is not me. This is not cool. Let me walk into that therapy office. So I started therapy in grad school and I went there because of a breakup and we're talking about, why are you so emotional over this breakup or whatever. But she took it back to, okay, why? Okay, maybe this is attachment issues. This is, I forgot what else we touched on, but it was like attachment issues. Let's talk about dad. Let's talk about parents. Let's talk about your parents' relationship. Yes. Let's talk about dad. Let's talk about, the things that brought you here to make you the woman that you are right now, to make you feel like, let me run up in this nigga's house like a Tomb Raider because he broke up with me. Like, what? So.
But that happens, right? What they call that, like toxic behavior.
Toxic behavior, like, why are you toxic? And it's more than just, I think it's cute. I see it on Love and Hip Hop and this is the cool thing to do. This is the cool way to be. But no, why are you this way? Exactly. Everybody in Love and Hip Hop, it's something happened in their childhood because there's something wrong with it. But I love me some Love and Hip Hop, so keep it going. But those people have issues.
Yes.
Why is Stevie J the way that he is?
Girl.
You're not doing this just for the show. Y'all doing it because y'all the right people, because y'all the right messed up in the mind people. But it's okay. Hopefully they...
And they're not addressing it.
They're not addressing it.
Address it.
It's making it worse because it's just the things that are going on is just fueling the behavior and nobody's telling them like, yo, we need to have a sit down, my brother.
Exactly. I'm so happy that you went to therapy though. I love it.
I sure did. Yeah, God definitely walked me right from that door.
Go. I say even if you don't think you have a problem, just go. to
Yeah,
talk,
definitely go
right?
before problems actually happen and before things like really, you know, go all the way south. Like, you don't want to wait until then, because then it's like you really got to pick yourself up from the bottom. So if you notice something's like a little bit off with you, or like you need someone to talk to, like if you don't feel like you have anyone to talk to in your life, y'all, find a therapist, find a counselor, you know.
That's what I say. And it's like, another thing, going back to your stigma question, we have to also stop associating therapy with problem, right? Because sometimes clients come to me and they don't have a problem. They just need support figuring out, processing it, right? Even going back, like you said, to your attachment style. That has the major impact in who we are. That's my favorite theory. The attachment theory is my favorite theory outside of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because attachment style really goes back to, okay, what were my parents doing, like you said, right? How were they acting to me even as young as 3? Okay. Right? How's my relationship with them? Now, how do I have relationships with other people? What are my interpersonal relationships? What do they look like? Yeah. Right? Do I have an insecure attachment type? Am I more avoidant, dismissive, anxious? Okay. Right? About like maybe like my boyfriend breaking up with me and now I want to go to his house and like, what's going on? Right? Is my esteem low? Right? Or do I have a secure attachment style where I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, let life flow. Somebody else will come. Like, what is going on? Yeah. Right? What did my parents teach me? The people around me. Again, back to nature versus nurture. Everything. It all counts. It all matters. It all matters, yeah. So don't throw away like your childhood just because you were like a little kid. Now you're an adult. You're like, I'm not that person anymore. Y'all heard about the inner child. You talk about that with your clients, like their inner child. It's like it's always there, and it always needs to be nurtured and all that kind of stuff. As much as we try to hide it and block it out, right? Even if we don't like our childhood, it's okay, but it impacted you. Yeah. Right? And the reason that you so much, you know? Yeah. The reason you want to check in with that is because sometimes we're very unaware, right? We're very unaware and unconscious of like how it impacted us. So it may show in our relationships, but we're like, this is just the relationship, right? Or I don't need these friends, or I'm just going to do bad on myself, be alone, what? It bothers me when people say that, because we're human beings, we're social. That's what we're made to do. Yeah. Outside of air, water, food, we need to communicate with other people. That's why also the pandemic was hard for people. So address that. It's okay to address that, right? Yeah. If mommy left you alone when you were young, that's fine. That's okay. Right? Maybe that's now why you may be more attached to someone, or you may want to be more avoidant with someone. Pay attention to that. Because again, my other favorite theory, Maslow, we want to reach our highest self-actualization. We want to grow. We want to be better than who we were yesterday. Yep. Yep, it's always a goal every year. Y'all talking about it's the new year, new me. Yes. Okay. Right. New year, new me. But listen, the new year, it doesn't have to be the new year for it to be a new you, right? And it's never going to be a new you, just maybe a more advanced you, right? Because there was nothing wrong with the old you. You just had to figure it out. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, claps, snaps to that. I love it, especially as it's like December, we're about to go into the new year. Yes. And these past 2 have been pretty rough. It's been a lot happening, you know, so. Definitely. So y'all don't, and then like you said, like changing the narrative, like the language around it, like it's not about, you know, new you because the old you was all fucked up because you had all these issues. It's okay to have issues. We all do. Trust me. But it's all about, like, what are you doing to kind of, like, better yourself? Better the you that you are. Figure it out and advance. How are you meeting your own personal needs? Right? Yeah. How are you checking in with yourself? Yeah. I always ask myself, like, how am I checking in with myself today? Right? Where am I? What's my level at? What do I need from myself today? Yeah, like setting your intention. How do you do that? People say that, but it's like, what does that really mean? Setting your intention for the day. So people our generation is so funny, and I love it, right? Because I'm the same way, right? I like my candles, I like my stretching and stuff, but sometimes checking in with yourself is just saying, like, well, how do I feel? How do I feel about today? How do I feel about what's happening, what's going on? Journaling, what's going on? That's my favorite thing to check in with myself, because sometimes things just start coming out as I write, right? Like, how do I feel today? You know, I feel happy, but I feel nervous.
Okay.
Right? And then after you're checking in yourself, say, why am I feeling nervous? What about today is making me feel that way? And how can I overcome that, right? What do I need to calm myself down? Do I need to deep breathe? Do I need to go to a safe space? Do I need to call up a friend, hit a friend, go get my favorite coffee, lunch, right? How am I checking in with myself? So I always look at yourself in the morning, right? We don't mind going on Instagram to check in with other people, but
sure don't.
Right. I don't either. But how do I look in the mirror and say, you know what, Alexa, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right?
What do you need? How are you feeling? I like that. Okay. I had to ask that for myself, because I'd be like, okay, I know I got to meditate. I know I have to affirm and set an intention, but what does that mean? Do I want to be patient today?
Yeah.
But I skip the part. I talk about, like, okay, I want to be patient today. I want to be, understanding. I want to communicate well, but I don't ever think about, like, well, how am I feeling? So that's the check-in. That's the setting my intention. Like, what am I feeling right now? And, what do I need to do to feel better?
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling so good.
And also, self-care is not just... I love the meditation. I love the deep breathing. Because I do it with my clients all the time. But sometimes it's just, I want to sit back and watch a 30-minute show on Netflix. Right?
So it looks different.
Right. Sometimes I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I just want to sit here and I want to stare at the ceiling. Right? I just want to be in my own space. Sometimes I want to call up a funny friend or my mom, my dad, and just to say I love you. Because I need to feel loved. Right? Yeah. Sometimes I need to feel happy, so I watch a movie that brings me joy.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes I want to feel calm. So maybe I'll watch a movie that feels me calm, or talk to a person that has a soothing voice. You know those people,
yeah.
Right? So checking in, like, what do you need from yourself?
Wow. I think that's so perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's so amazing. So, this is like a millennial podcast. That's how I started it. It's like, okay, so I want to do a podcast that talks about topics that are important to people, to men and women in their 20s, like things that we're thinking about, things that we're worried about, things that we're navigating. And so that's like relationships, dating, our mental health, money, finances. So this is what this is all about. So you gave some really good tips on how we can get ourselves together mentally, emotionally. Thank you for that.
No problem.
And so, like I said, we be worried about dating and relationships all the time. And we talked a little bit about fuckboys and how, some of the single girls are struggling in the dating world. People keep talking about dating is the streets are treacherous and not a cool place to be. And so do you think that the dating world is effed up because we don't value mental health? Because, we see toxicity everywhere online. We see it in the celebrity world. We see it on reality TV. Do you think that dating is probably not what it used to be because we don't value our own mental health? So how are we going to value someone else's mental health? How are we going to value our partner's mental health? And boundaries, communicating openly, being emotionally available, working through your past past heartbreak and coming through in a healthier relationships. Why is it hard for us to have healthy relationships right now?
I love that. You did a great job at describing everything. And one thing that you did is that, you point out the social media. And honestly, I think dating is hard for us. And this is just an opinion, is that we base it off of social media. Yeah, and it should be. I see that too. Because when my younger family members will talk to me, if they're in a relationship, they will be talking to me about, this city girl shit about, well, my man asked me if I can order him food while he's at work because he can't order food right now. He doesn't have his card. He doesn't have DoorDash. He's busy, whatever. But he hasn't got me these Bottega boots.
He hasn't got me a Gucci bag yet.
Girl.
He hasn't taken me shopping like he said. So if you're not spending on this, then I'm not buying you a 4 for $4.
Exactly.
And I'm just like,
not a 4 for $4 though.
It's just like, you want what you want. The girls want what they want, but know who you're dealing with. Is that really what you want? Is that really what you need? Or do you just want to spend time with him and he hasn't been doing that because he's working so fucking hard? Because in this busy culture, we want to work, make money. It's just so many things with that. So I see how things like are manifesting in some of our relationships where we expect so much from these guys to spend little Uzi money on us.
Right. If you're not spending a band on the first date, then do he really love you? And it's like, huh? You know? And then
oh my God, it's so crazy.
And then it's also, I think that we not only so do we value the opinion of social media, I think that we also don't know truly, us millennials, right? I'm a millennial too, sometimes what we want. We don't know what we want because, again, we don't fully know who we are, right? Because, again, we're figuring it out. And we're making it seem like it's not okay to figure it out in your 20s. Yeah. And I truly don't understand that.
We want to have it right now.
Yes.
Me and my boyfriend were just talking about it. He was like, my boyfriend's like in his 30s, and he's like, listen, I understand now because I was talking to this other 24-year-old, and she's like, I'm trying to figure my life out. I'm anxious. I'm 24. I need to be making millions by now. And he's like, yo, I get it now. Yeah. Y'all are really stressed out. You know, people in their 30s now, they're like, you know, they kind of grew up in a different time where it's not the social media age. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, y'all are going through it. And I'm like, yes, we are.
We really are.
We want it all right now. We don't want to figure it out, you know?
And then it's like, I stop and think, it's like, why do we want it all right now? Like, yeah, you want the best for yourself and you want the best for your family and you want to, you want to have the best. But why do we feel like we have to have the house, the car, the husband, the kids?
By 22, 23.
And it's crazy. Instead of us just living our life and discovering who we are, I think it's the biggest problem. And then also basing it off of other people, like the city girls, like, if he ain't spitting a bag on you, like, or if she don't got this, like, what's she really bringing to the table? And it's how about we just bring ourselves to the table and understand what is my authentic self. That's one of my favorite words, authentic self, because now if I'm bringing my authentic self to the table, you're bringing your authentic self to the table. Do we really even like each other? Outside of social media, outside of the material things, do we know who we are and who we are together? Yeah. Like, where's that at? Right? Where are who we are together?
Wow. Because it is centered on, like, material things and, like, things. Like, what can this person do for me? What does this person have? You know? Because that's really what fosters longevity is who we are, without all the things. Who we are if we're not busy. Like, Grow Glow Woman said, because social media is pressuring people. Yes, it is. And she said amen. I'm sure she said amen to a lot of stuff you were saying. Because for real, like, that was deep. Like, if I'm bringing my authentic stuff to the table and you are, then do we like each other? Without all that extra stuff, do we like each other without all of that? And I really, really love that because that fosters longevity, and then like the relationship is genuine and you can guarantee like that person has your back and that you really are in it for that person and not what he or she can do for you. And it's scary that a lot of these relationships are built off of what we're doing, what we can do for each other, and not like who we really are. And then people be surprised where it's like towards the end, they in divorce and then they in the court, and it's like, listen, y'all knew y'all wasn't. Y'all knew, this it wasn't real.
Like, can we have fun together when we have nothing? Can we make joy out of happiness? I mean, out of sadness. Yeah. Right? Or like this pandemic, right? When we couldn't go outside, did we like being around each other? Obviously, probably not every day, but majority of the time, did we like being around each other? Because we didn't have material things. We didn't really, sometimes we didn't feel like being on social media. So did I like just sitting next to you? Right? Did you bring me calmness? Did I bring you calmness? What does calmness look like for us?
Oh, so this is for the couples that actually had to like sit at home, and not go to work and like be. I don't remember if that ended in like a lot of divorce or a lot of separation. I don't know. I don't remember what people were saying, but
Yeah, that's a statistic that I am unaware of. But I can imagine. It's just that we center a lot of things off of social media, and I think that has the biggest impact, right? Because if I'm going on social media for dating advice, who's like,
from who?
Right. Or like first of all, like we was taking advice from society, or people was taking advice from the what's her name? The City Girls and Megan Thee Stallion, and it was another rapper, I think Tokyo Jets or something, and they all got men.
Yo, yeah, people were saying that. Everybody was like, but JT got a man, and so does Carisha, and now Megan has a man, and they saying all these things in their songs, but it's just a song. Don't let it get confused. People were even saying, like, Summer Walker put out this album. She was like, don't let Summer Walker get you no gift for Christmas because you want to be sad girl and like mad girl.
Exactly, because you want to base it off of a song that they're trying to basically monopolize. And don't get me wrong, I love the music.
Yeah,
but to base it off of like my relationship, no. No. Obviously know what you deserve, right? But don't get twisted what you deserve to what social media is telling you need to have.
Yeah.
Right? Know what you deserve. Know your boundaries. Know your who you are and what you won't take.
Yeah.
And
that's
don't
super important.
settle, right? But also don't allow social media to determine what settling looks like. Right?
Yeah. I think that also goes too for like, because people tell you like what you should be doing in your 20s. Like you should be single. You should be out in the streets. You should be like figuring yourself out. You don't have to have a career. You don't have to be established in your 20s. Like that's not what it's for. And I think that, people are different, like you're supposed to be out doing it, irresponsible things and all this stuff in your 20s. But I think that, that also goes to with the social media thing. Like, don't let social media or don't let your friends tell you what you should be doing right now if you are in your 20s. Like, if you want to be in a relationship, if you want to be married with kids, even if you don't want to be, if you want to be like, working at the bar and going out 24/7 and not be cuffed, you want to date multiple guys. Like, in your 20s, do what you want to do. And don't let society tell you what you should be doing in your 20s, because they do tell us, like, your 20s is not to be settled down. It's not to be doing XYZ. But if that's what you want, because some girls do want to be tied down in their 20s with kids and all that kind of stuff. Some girls want to be housewives. I know I do some days, because I don't be wanting to work. I be tired. But then other days I'm like, hell no, I can't do this because I can't sit down for like 5 minutes. So it's like, do what you want to do and know who you are and know what you want in relationships, know what you want out of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. What role do you think like women play in men's mental health? Like, we were talking about relationships and things like that and toxic behavior, but like, what role do you think we play in like the quality of men's health? Like, whether your mom, whether your girlfriends, grandma, the lady at the church who be talking about you,
I think it also depends, because I think a lot of times we can play the role of the man has to be the provider. And again, going back to, well, what is the definition of provider? Okay, my provider shouldn't really show that they're weak. They should just take care of responsibility. They should take care of the finances at home, right? I'm going to go to them when I need them, but can they really come to me? But then also a lot of women comfort men. Right? Say, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to not always have to be strong, right? It's okay to not always have to be that whatever you feel like the provider is, or society has determined the provider is. But I think a lot of time, so I think it's both. I think it's sometimes we can be hard on men, and I think sometimes
if you're not spending a band on our first date. 3 bands.
Right.
If you don't give me $500,000 boots after 3 months of being together, then you ain't shit.
No, but you're right. And then how does that make the man feel? Right? And where's this idea?
He has to keep providing things, less of himself and just provide things,
Yes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a chance to be emotional with you, because it's now that your love language is finances. But maybe his love language is words of affirmation. Maybe his love language is displays of affection.
Yeah.
Right? What is his love language? Maybe he wants to talk about his day.
Yeah.
Right? Or like for the men that grew up in female households, do you ever notice that they are more likely to talk about their feelings than a man who grew up with more men in the household? Men who grow up in more female households are more likely to talk about their feelings because it's perceived as it's okay, right? You're open to talk about your feelings, right? But men, no, you got to be strong. No, women don't like to see that. Why? Why not?
Right.
Right?
What are you teaching these little boys?
And we got to encourage them. Encourage them to say, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to not always be your best. It's okay. Like,
yeah. I like that. Alexa. So, while we're talking about relationships and like how women contribute to men's mental health, and we're talking about men's mental health and all that kind of stuff, and we talked a little bit about dating, and I had some things that I wanted you to give your 2 cents in.
Okay, my
there's
2
some
cents.
there's some stuff that's been going on in pop culture. We all have seen the headlines. We all have heard what's been going on. So in our last few minutes, I want you to give your diagnosis to like the following situations that are happening, that are like actually happening. And you know, if these people walked into your therapy session with this story, what would you like? What is the first question that you would ask them?
Okay.
So have you so the first one, have you heard of what happened with Yaya Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather's daughter?
Oh no, but no, I'm open to listen.
Okay, what
so
about DaniLeigh and DaBaby? Have you heard about?
No, but you know, pick either one because if they're coming into my office, I shouldn't know background.
You shouldn't exactly.
Right?
This is perfect. That's why I'm glad you don't know. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm excited. All right, so with Yaya Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather has like a daughter. I don't know how many kids he got, but he has like she's like in her 20s or something. So back in April of last year, she stabbed somebody. So have you heard of NBA Youngboy?
Yes.
Okay, so she just had a baby with NBA Youngboy, and apparently she's facing 20 years in jail for allegedly stabbing his other baby mama. And so she's charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. So in her trial, she'll be on trial in February of next year. So she apparently, the story is she went to NBA Youngboy's house because he's been in jail for like drugs and guns or whatever. So she went to her baby daddy, NBA Youngboy's house, and his other baby mama was there. And so she was like, girl, get out, because I'm his fiance. And I guess the other girl was like, I'm not leaving. So Yaya ended up stabbing the girl in the arm. The girl's arm doesn't work anymore. The hand doesn't work anymore. So Yaya she's facing these charges now. So she can potentially face 20 years. So she also has Yaya has his 7th child. NBA Youngboy has 8 kids now. So
and how old is he?
He's like in his 20s too. Like these kids are like early 20s.
Oh, wait, okay.
So he got 8 kids. She has his 7th. And so if she walked into your room right now and said, girl, this is what I got going on, what is the first thing you would like ask her or tell her?
Ooh, okay. What was the first thing I would ask her, right? I would kind of ask her, what was she thinking when she stabbed the girl that was in the office? I mean, that was in the house with the boy.
I was thinking that too. Like, what were you thinking? Why did you grab 2 knives and like stab the girl?
I think, what was going through your mind? What did something she said? You know, what made that situation occur? So with therapy, I always like to know like the events that led up to the big event. So how were you feeling when you first walked into that house? Right? What were you thinking when you went into that house and you seen her? Like, what was your level at, your thermometer, right? Were you high? Were you low? How did you check in with yourself? And why did you feel the need to stab her?
Yeah.
What control did you feel?
Like,
did
what
you feel
happened?
like you lost control?
It really be about the control.
Yes. Because again, if I don't say one thing, I want to say this, is that we have control over how we react, what we say, what we do. We don't have control over what other people say, how other people react, their behaviors, right? But we can control our own. It's now, how do we choose to do that?
Yeah.
So that'll be something I would try to explore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so I like that. Mm-hmm. Girl, what was you thinking? Is it crack? Okay, fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, and so the second situation is with Danny Lay and DaBaby. So Danny Lay is like the singer. She just had a baby with DaBaby.
Okay, I know DaBaby.
So this is like, he has mad kids too. So this is probably like his fourth kid. I don't know. His second kid. I don't know. And so apparently they've been going back and forth on the internet because she's been saying that they've been together, like they're in a relationship. But, you know, recently she posted on live that he was kicking her out of their house. He was kicking her and their baby out of the house. And she's been saying like, yo, we've been in a relationship. He's flew my parents out, my family out. We've been on vacations. I was living in his house. I have a closet. I have a section of the bathroom. Like I've been living here. Now he wants to kick me and our baby out of the house. And so he goes on live and he's like, yo, this girl's crazy. She's trying to set me up. She's crazy. She's my side chick. This was never my girl. To be clear, he said, this is my side bitch. This girl is crazy. She's trying to set me up. And, you know, she's like, oh, well, you trying to make me look bad. And so they're on live together. Like, he's like, yo, like confessing, like, trying to clear his name. Like, listen, this girl's lying. She's blah, 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 blah. Danny Lay pops up in the background like, oh, really? I'm lying? Oh, really? I didn't have a closet. You never flew my family out. We were never together. Like, really? Baby, blah, 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 all this stuff. And it's just a mess. Like, it's a whole bunch of he say, she say. And it's like, he's saying one thing, she's saying another, and then they have a baby together, and now it's this whole thing about, you know, be careful who you have a baby with and all that kind of stuff. And so she's like, listen, I'll never do this again. This is a huge mistake. And it's just all this toxic stuff. And so it's like, well, dang, were y'all in a relationship or not? And so what would you say to her? Like, and like, not to, like, it's nothing to laugh about because I send her healing energy because I can only imagine how hard that could be. But what would you, like, you know, ask her if she came to you with a situation like, I just had a baby, my boyfriend's like denying that we were in a relationship and that we ever cared about each other, and he's trying to kick me out of the house. How would you, you know, respond to that?
Yeah, because that was a lot of background. So if this came as a presenting case, what would I say? Let me get a minute. Let me think, because that, you know,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, and I definitely, you know, see a lot of like low self-esteem there. And it's nothing wrong with having low self-esteem because at a point, I'm sure we all have had it.
Absolutely.
Right? Because why does this guy feel comfortable to even talk to me like that, to negate my feelings like that?
And he said, like, this girl, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in front of her, and she's just, like, sitting there like, yo, this is crazy because you said all these things and you did all these things, but now you're saying, and it's like they were together, and then the assistant was there, and it was just a mess. It was cringy to watch the whole live.
That's someone I would want to explore her background. So I want to say, you know, well, what, you know, well, what made you feel comfortable around him? Or what made you even want him in the beginning? Because why is he feeling so comfortable to even invalidate you like that, right? And who you are? Because at the end of the day, you're still a woman and still the mother of his child. And for him to be disrespectful like that to you on social media, it's like, why does he feel so comfortable doing that, right? And why do you
feel... It was cringy.
Why,
like,
you know, what's been going on?
Yeah.
You know, so I would check in with, you know, number one, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot. That's a lot of trauma. That's a lot of pain. That's a lot of hurt. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
And then based off of how you're feeling, have you ever felt like this before and what happened? Right? Because I really would want to explore a lot of her background to see what led up to these events. Again, because if you're allowing this man to do this and talk to you, I wonder, have you ever allowed that to happen, or have you ever seen that happen in the home? But definitely checking in with her feelings, because, you know, we social media and we want to clout chase, but she's a person at the end of the day, and I know this has to be hard. Someone invalidating you right in front of your face, right? Talking down to you right in front of your face. Yeah. That can't feel good.
Yeah, not at all. Especially with, like, the postpartum and, like, just having a baby and everything. It was very, like, hard to watch.
Talk about the postpartum. I'm telling you, right? Your body is changing. Your chemicals are trying to get back, right? Because, you know, depression is chemical imbalance. So everything is trying to get back together. And then now the person that's supposed to be supporting you
is calling you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and validating everything that you're saying. And I believe her too. I believe, because guys be doing that, and then, you know, you go on live and now you're saying, oh, this girl's crazy, she's lying.
But why is she in your house if she lying? You said she walked up behind him, right? So why is she in the house?
They were on the live together. Yeah. It was just a mess. It was just a mess. And I can tell that it was hard for her too. So
exactly. So again, Senna, you said healing energy. Yes,
healing energy. Yeah. Thank you, Alexa, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This has been great. So you do offer services, you know, so people can follow you at Alexa and Chandler,
like from Friends, Chandler. I always use that, right? Alexa, Amazon, and then Chandler, like from Friends. Yes.
Alexa. Alexa, please. Alexa, please close us out. Thank you so much. So, we'll direct everybody to your social media because they can book you for your services.
Yeah, so I actually work in a private practice at Hearts Empowerment under Marlene Francis. And you can call her, contact her, and there's a lot of wonderful therapists there, including me, who will be able to meet with you. There's family therapists. There's me, teen millennial therapists with other ones. We're all great. We're all skilled. And we would love to just meet with you to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And if it's not us, remember, therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black men, clinicians of color are all sites that you can go on to find a therapist. Psychology Today, anyone. And don't be afraid. Don't let it stigmatize you. Don't let that stigmatize you. Just go and have one session. Yeah. If you don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I put a stamp on it. Therapy for everybody. Everybody needs it.
Yes.
Go do what y'all got to do, especially during the holidays, because things can get hard around this time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was so much fun.